So, when there's a financial slump, how do we get out of it? How do we get out of a financial slump? How do we get out of low income or no income to high income? How do we get out of the loss of a job or no more business, no more contracts? How do we get out of economic downturn? Now, the first thing I want us to understand this morning is that there are two types. All right, I will encourage you at this time to please switch off all your phones and put your focus on your attention. Ushers, can you always move around and check that instruction is being obeyed? And especially you need to watch out for young people. Okay, I won't say more than that. Right. So I said there are two types of financial slumps. There's self-inflicted and there's circumstantial. There is what? Self-inflicted financial slump, and then there's circumstantial financial slump. Now, an example of self-inflicted financial slump is the prodigal son. The prodigal son. His financial slump was self-inflicted. He caused it upon himself. Right. And then an example of circumstantial financial slump is the story of Joseph. Let's take a look at the self-inflicted financial slump of the prodigal son first. Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 24. Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 24. Sometimes we say, I'm suffering, even as believers. But sometimes our financial sufferings are actually caused by us. We took some wrong decisions. We refused to take some right decisions. Hello? When there was surplus, we were not saving. How many of you know that whether you're working or not working, you must have a savings account? How many of us know that? You must have a savings account. All right? Once you are old enough to know what a bank is. As a child, they give us gifts, isn't it? Even when we were little. And do you know that in the previous generation, they taught us to save, didn't they? They did teach us to save. They had this wooden thing or this clay, compartment that we called a bank. In Yoruba, we called it kolo. I'm sure different languages in the country had their own name for it. And whatever money you got as gifts from uncles, from aunties, and all that, you put it there. Sometimes your parents will give you money. You put it there. Sometimes they send you on an errand and there's change. Sometimes they'll tell you, keep the change. Okay, if you were wise, you kept some of it, even if you used some of it to buy sweets. If you were unwise, you spent all of it and you bought sweets. Okay. And then, of course, after putting, after a while, then what do we do? That clay one, you can put, but you can't get it out. Especially if you ever put in a paper note, that ain't coming out except you break that bank, right? But then the wooden one usually had a lock, isn't it? Or a pad. Sometimes they did that wooden one too, without a padlock or anything. So even that one too, until you got pliers and all that to break it open, you couldn't get it out. So they kind of let us know from very early that it's important that we save. Now, of course, nowadays, we don't raise our children with this wooden or this clay thing. But thank God now we have access to banks. Okay? And for these, if you have a child, and then when the child is aware enough, then you should let the child know, there's that. If the child is getting money, you train your child two things. Tithe, all right? Spend some of it, but you must always save some of it. All right. Let's go to the story of the prodigal. A certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. And he divided unto them his